number 2 of the evening, an elimination 178-pound MMA bout. Let's meet the fighters. First, fighting out of the Dynamic Mortgage Concepts red corner, please make welcome Brandon James Taylor.
Brent, you're the background expert on everybody. You talked to all the fighters before the show. Let us know what you got here on Mr. Taylor.
Well, Brandon Taylor, he's 4-2. He's actually had 3 decisions, which leads us to believe that his cardio is usually pretty up there. He trains at SCL MMA up in Westminster, so just a hop, skip, and a jump away. And calls himself a freestyle fighter. He's been training for about 3 years. Really likes to keep it standing up. So it sounds like this fight should be pretty exciting. Both of these guys like to strike.
And those DCO MMA guys, they always bring it, always put fighters into the cage that are really well conditioned. And one of the things that I like about the DCO guys is how well they listen to their corner. That seems to be something that they work on and train during their fight camps, is being able to listen to your corner, which is a pretty invaluable skill.
That's super important. And what you got to train yourself to do is just tune everything else out. Just hone on your coach's voice and then listen to them and realize that they're seeing things that you can't see.
Yeah, when I was doing a little bit of coaching, I'd wait till a guy was in a bad position, and then I'd ask him, what was your phone number when you were in grade school?
Center blue corner. Please make welcome.
Really make him focus on some old school
Cordova
stuff.
Kid Cordova.
That way you knew they were listening to you. All right. Give us a little Mr. Cordova background, please, sir.
Yeah, well, Josh Cordova is only 20 years old, relatively young. 2-0, though, has a TKO and a decision win. He is a wrestler. He's from Thornton High School. He was a 3-time state qualifier. Really says that he's looking to, work his ground and pound, trying to get that TKO, he said, hopefully in the second round. He trains at AFA Boxing down in Denver, so not very far away either.
So that's interesting that he would try to pick the round that he's going to do it. I know Mystic Mac, Mr. Conor McGregor, always does that. But tell us, as a fighter yourself, you ever tried to pick the round that you were going to end it in?
Well, I usually just shot for round 1. That way I didn't have to spend very much energy. The less energy I had to expend, the better.
Got some tail of the tape here, Mr. Taylor. A little bit of an experience advantage in life, as he's 23 versus 20. Pretty close on height. Of course, they have to weigh in near the same. But the experience advantage of Taylor is what stands out. However, with Mr. Cordova having such a strong wrestling record, he stepped on the mat for competition probably 300-400 times. So, not MMA, but you still got to count the fact that he's been under that pressure before.
That's right. Competition is competition. It doesn't matter what arena you're in.
Fight number 2 of the evening is presented by Brandon Dodge. Come visit Brandon Dodge, home of the big deal for knockout deals. Number 1 Dodge in Ramstorm, Colorado, Brandon Dodge. Time to meet the elimination 178-pound fighters. First, fighting out of the Dynamic Mortgage Concepts red corner, holding an MMA record of 5 wins and 2 losses from DCO MMA in Denver, Colorado. Please make welcome Brandon James Taylor. And now, fighting out of the blue corner, shooting center blue corner, holding an MMA record of 2 wins and 0 losses from a family affair boxing in Denver, Colorado. Please make welcome Josh the Dova Kid Cordova. This elimination 178-pound bout is scheduled for 3 3-minute rounds. Referee Tom Johnson.
So Mr. Taylor wearing the striped red, white, and black trunks, representing a family affair boxing, facing off against Josh Cordova. Excuse me, it's Cordova representing family affair, and it's Taylor representing DCO. And coming out working the jab was Taylor, and immediately we see Cordova working for that takedown, wanting to put that wrestling on display.
Yeah, and I don't think that was a big surprise to anybody. Cordova trying to get him tied up, pushed up against the cage. It being that wrestling background, he just wants to keep it in close, work his dirty boxing, and end up on the ground.
Interesting, Cordova, a 3-time state qualifier in wrestling, fighting out of a boxing gym here in an MMA fight.
That was interesting too when he said that he was at a boxing gym and his background was in wrestling, but it also makes sense. You want to be well-rounded. So many people these days aren't. Good takedown by Cordova and immediately into the guard.
Yeah, and actually, we're kind of making little jokes there. A family affair boxing gym. They put out actually quite a few MMA fighters. So those guys doing not just boxing at their gym, a lot of well-rounded training. But let's take a look at Cordova doing what he needs to here with that takedown. Definitely taking advantage of the position, starting to get off some solid ground and pound. And off of his back, what's Taylor need to do here?
Well, Taylor really needs to either focus on closing that guard up and not letting Cordova posture up, or trying to sweep and stand back up. Cordova doesn't seem to be phased at all by the guard. He just wants to wing punches. And he said that he was hoping for a TKO on the ground and pound.
Taylor able to get a little bit of distance there, working the kicks off of his back, see if he's able to get himself up to his feet, but Cordova just waiting to time it to either pass that guard, which he's able to do.
Yeah, Cordova just swings for the fences, immediately takes him out. Not a good position for Taylor at all. And you can see that Cordova's trying to posture up and just start raining those punches down.
And Taylor's doing some of the right things. He's got his feet on the fence. He's trying to push. He's trying to elevate his hips and roll. But somebody like Cordova that basically probably since he was 4 or 5 years old has spent half of his time trying to hold people on the ground. It's going to be tough to get him off of you. And he is going to town with rights and lefts here.
Yeah, Taylor really needs to buck those hips. He needs to get an arm trapped so that he can't posture up as much as he has right now. But right now, Cordova's just got free reign.
This is exactly what Cordova wanted out of this fight. Dominant position, working the punches. Referees talking to the fighters, telling the bottom guy that he's got to do something to change it. Just blocking and covering is not considered an intelligent defense. Taylor tried to roll there, get himself into a better position. That lets the referee know that he's still thinking, but Cordova just going to work.
And if you look, you can see how Cordova's actually got his ankles curled up underneath of Taylor, which makes it very difficult for Taylor to buck or get anywhere because he can literally, it's just like riding a bull. He keeps his thighs tight and just goes wherever Taylor goes.
And Taylor again getting his feet on the fence, trying to push, trying to back roll, get a backdoor escape, and he's only got to survive another couple of seconds. Looks like we're going to round 2. At least according to our screen clock here. And getting closer.
And there's the bell. Just a little technical malfunction there. I am impressed that Taylor was able to weather those strikes through the end.
And sounds like a lot of Taylor fans in the house. I don't know if you guys can hear it over the broadcast, but we're getting a lot of boos as they come up against Cordova. So I think Taylor probably the favorite here. And we're checking it out on the replay, and this is pretty much about what happened for a third of the round or so, and that was Cordova just going to town with his ground and pound.
Yeah, that was impressive, and Taylor really needs to focus on keeping some distance this round. He needs to keep the fight standing up. I think it's, been shown Cordova is a phenomenal wrestler.
Yeah, able to put it where he wants it and able to keep it there once he gets there. Some pretty invaluable skills in the midst of a fight.
Yes, it is. Let's see how they start out round number 2.
Seems like Randy Couture made a career of that.
A very good career of that, actually. Nice head kick thrown by Taylor right off the bat.
Yeah, got it up there. Cordova, though, looking like he wanted to just eat it for lunch, and no mistake about it. Cordova looking to close in, wants to tie it up, get that takedown again. Let's see what he tries to set up here. He's got over-under position and ends up getting turned. Nice work by Taylor.
Yeah,
and Taylor
good.
going to work on the leg with punches and often underutilized technique.
Yeah, it is. Most people don't think about that, but it is. If it doesn't hurt, it's still annoying. I'm impressed that Taylor was able to reverse that position. He came out throwing some nice long punches.
So it could be a fact that they knew going into training camp they were going to face a really outstanding wrestler, knew they were going to be tied up, and worked that because, like you said, it was a really nice job by Taylor getting that turn. Typically, wrestlers have that really solid base, really powerful footwork, and it's hard to get them spun like that.
Yeah, and Taylor's doing a good job. He's keeping that left underhook, really pressing into Cordova's chest, throwing some nice knees to the thigh as well.
And we can hear the corner of Cordova asking for him to get the turn. And Cordova showing off his strength, just bullying Taylor off the fence and then getting the turn. So a little reversal of fortunes here for Taylor, as I had him doing much better here in round number 2 than how it had gone for him in the first.
Yeah, it was. And now you see Cordova shoots for the takedown, gets the double leg, lands right into almost a side mount.
And that was a quick level change. He set it up really nicely. He bumped up, dropped levels, pretty much like a day one wrestling drill.
Yes.
And basics, folks, basics. That's what wins it for you.
That's true, and just relying on what you're good at. And I'm impressed Taylor has been able to keep him in guard, now back to full guard. Not easy when you've got a grappler of this strength on top of you.
And looking to overhook for the Kimura there is Taylor. Even if he doesn't get that as a submission, it's still something that he can use as a sweep, just called the Kimura sweep. And seems like that's something that possibly Cordova's seen in the gym a few times, because he does the right thing, just bases down on his elbow, sets his base, and unable to be turned. So Taylor here back where he was, trying to set up some things with his legs, but this is where he was in the end of round 1.
Yeah, and Cordova gets out of the full guard and, just so strong on the ground. It's, right back into full mount. This is exactly where Taylor doesn't want to be. 26 seconds left in the round, though. Hopefully Taylor can just weather it out.
Yeah, Taylor, in round 1, he did some of the right things trying to escape, and he showed the referee that he wasn't just going to be on his back and let that ground and pound happen. He was trying to escape. He was trying to move. And doing the same thing here, so showing that even though he's in a bad position, he's not giving up on this fight. 10-second clacker sounded. We're going to go to a third.
SCL 66 is brought to you by Real Water. Real Water is premium drinking water with 8.0 pH that equalizes and provides your 8-2 technology, making it the only drinking water on the market that can maintain a stable negative ionization. Real Water.
And we see there on that replay as Cordova able to get that takedown that he wanted. It took him a lot longer in this round, but I think pretty tough to score round number 2. I think it was about half the time for Taylor in stand-up. He controlled the position, landed the better strikes, including that head kick. But then again, once it went to the ground, we see the dominance of Cordova. How would you have scored that round?
Yeah, it was a close round, but I think you've got to give that a 10-9 to Cordova with the takedown and then just, the thorough domination on the ground. However, Taylor did a much better job of not letting him posture up and just rain down punches. I think that's something his coach told him in between rounds, between 1 and 2.
Yeah, it was probably 5 or 6 seconds of unfettered punching technique there by Cordova as opposed to a third of the round. Yeah, referee Tom Johnson letting the fighters know it's round 3. Touch of the gloves, and then they'll try to render each other unconscious.
Big right hand right off the bat by Cordova, rocking Taylor, but Taylor stays standing up.
And good knee there for Cordova. Landed solidly to the rib cage. Oh, and a body lock with the outside trip.
Big
Nicely
takedown
done by Cordova. And this is early in the round, and we've seen Taylor unable to get up off the mat once he's put into this position. So he's got a long way to go here as that takedown happened early in the round. And there he goes, showing
impressive.
me that I don't always know what's going on. Well done, Mr. Taylor. However, Cordova, with his control, puts him back down.
Yeah, Cordova had stepped right into mount, and I think he's going to end up there again. He's been very good in his transition to mount, from the guard, from the side mount, everywhere, and just raining down punches again.
And solid shots coming down for Cordova. They're close to our corner here, and we can hear the solidity of those punches there. And mostly I wanted to say solidity today.
There's very good vocabulary on JR's part tonight. But it's very frustrating, especially as the guy on the bottom. When you've got a guy as good as Cordova is that can slip that seamlessly into mount, it's more of a mental game than anything at that point. You just don't know what to do.
And a lot of instructions coming out of the corner of Cordova telling him where to put his chest, where to put his arms, what to do with his punches. Really nice coaching over there in Cordova's corner. And in Taylor's corner, they know that Taylor knows exactly what he's supposed to do because he keeps trying to do it. It just happens that Cordova has an answer for things.
And this is exactly where Cordova wants to be. As you can see, he's got his legs hooked underneath of Taylor's. He was leaning forward, putting all of his weight and pelvis pressure right on his sternum. And what that does is not only does it keep you pinned down, but it interrupts your breathing in the process.
As Homer Simpson said, I can breathe out okay.
But getting it in, that's a little bit harder, and it a little bit more important.
And again, Cordova postures, throws a couple of hard strikes. Taylor doing the right thing by trying to tie him up like you talked about, but Cordova just so dominant with his positional advantages this evening. It's really been kind of a one-way fight here with Taylor basically keeping himself safe, and Cordova able to pick his shots and try to work for the finish.
And with 30 seconds left, you see Cordova keeping his good position. He's not wasting energy. He's not going as hard for the finish as he was. He knows this fight's wrapped up. He's just got to make it to the end without making any mistakes.
And I can see referee Tom Johnson talking to the bottom fighter a little bit. They tell him in the rules meeting, if I'm talking to you, if I'm telling you that you need to change some things, I have to see some fight out of you. And we're getting exactly that out of Taylor. Trying to work the leg position, going to try to push Cordova backward here. And nicely done by the DCO MMA fighter. Ran out of time as he had wrapped up the Achilles lock. So it's going to go to the judges, but I think they have pretty easy work on this one.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. I think all 3 rounds I would have scored for Cordova. But props to Taylor, the heart that he showed.
And we're seeing here on the replay as Cordova had set up that takedown using his punches to get in close, wrapping up the body lock, putting it on the ground, and then like we saw so many times throughout this fight, posture up, throw some strikes, let the judges know you're the one that's winning this fight.
Yeah, and I think that was the game plan all along. I don't think Cordova really came into this wanting to get into a slugfest. He knew that Taylor, coming out of DCO MMA, had good striking, and I just wanted to stick to his base, make sure he got the takedowns, grind it out. A real wrestler's mentality there. Just take him down and grind it out.
And we saw it on the replay there at the very end of the fight. Taylor doing a nice job getting his legs into position, showing his flexibility and his knowledge of what to do with it. Able to turn his opponent and wrap up a leg, but just ran out of time to try to affect any kind of a submission from there.
Yeah, a lot of heart showed on Brandon Taylor's part. To be mounted for that long in every round, you know, doesn't give up, kept fighting, almost got an ankle lock at the very end of the 3rd round, which would have been a monumental upset at that point. Good fight all around.
And let's not forget, Cordova came in here with quite the experience disadvantage. Taylor with a lot more cage time than what Cordova had, but Cordova, again, showing off that wrestling, showing that's something that he's done so much for so long, and just able to put that skill set into a place where it helped him be real dominant in this bout.
Well, and as you brought up, too, before the fight started, you know, Cordova's probably been on the mat 300-plus times in his high school career, which, you know, does factor into that.
Referee Tom Johnson going to give us the scores.
After 3 rounds, we go to the judges' scorecards. All 3 judges scored the bout 30-27. Declaring you winner by unanimous decision, Josh the Dova Kid Cordova.